Source Pro in Conversation is brought to you in association with Leapin, Australia's leading plan manager and two-time winner of the Most Outstanding Plan Management Award. Visit leapin.com.au to learn more.
Hello everyone, my name is Caleb Rickson and I'm very excited to present this next session where we're going to dive deep into what it really means to innovate, not just for innovation's sake, but to create real practical impact for children, families and professionals alike. It's time to start thinking bigger, braver and more creatively. Joining us right now are four incredible leaders shaking up the way that we work. Ali Gebhardt. Ali Gebhardt. I love the way I just said Ali Gebhardt. Occupational Therapist, or OT, and Director at Napa Centre, leading the charge on intensive forward-thinking therapy. Dimitra Baveas, Special Education Teacher and founder of MyBurrow, reimagining how therapy and education connect. Julie Taylor, Senior Assistive Tech Professional, passionate about making complex supports feel empowering and intuitive. And Rob Norman, a seating and mobility specialist with international experience in designing equipment that works in real life, not just on paper. Together, they'll explore bold ideas, smart collaboration, and how we can all raise the bar in our own practice. A big welcome to our incredible panelists. Now, so let's start with a quick intro from each of you, just a very quick one. I'm going to start with you, Ali, sure. Not Ali, I'm not going to lie. In one sentence, how would you define innovation in your specific field?
Innovation in the therapy field means stepping outside of the comfort zone and thinking outside of the box. It means being really inquisitive with what you're doing and matching research-based initiatives with your clinical reasoning and figuring out what's going to be the best thing for your particular child in front of you at that moment in time. Beautiful,
beautiful. Rob?
I think exactly what Ali was saying, in the sense of don't just think about what works, what you've been taught. You've got to think about what's working for that client, because it could be as simple as that client, it doesn't get the enjoyment or passion out of that, whereas something else might tick their box. And like using the equipment that we use as well in relevant settings, that's going to make it easier for parents and families to use that bit of equipment as well.
I love that. Thank you so much. Julie?
Innovation for me is allowing children to just be children, but with this use of assistive technology. I think within the field we do lose sight of children just being individuals and being their own little person. So allowing that to shine through assistive technology, that's what innovation is for me.
Beautiful, thanks Julie.
Yeah, for me, it's about bridging the gap between therapy and classroom. Yeah. And what we want to do is make therapy accessible to all students in the classroom environment. And it's not just what we teach, it's how we're teaching.
I love that. That's beautiful. It's not just the what, it's the how. Dimitra, I want to stay with you for a second because MyBurrow bridges the gap between therapy and education. What was missing in the system that inspired MyBurrow's creation, and how does MyBurrow address that need for children and educators?
Well, therapy in the education system is really limited to those more extreme students, and there are a significant number of students that miss out on therapy, but developmentally they're not quite there to meet the often unrealistic curriculum expectations. So when you have a student in prep who is expected to sit and learn to read and write, when they don't have those foundational skills developed, then what's the best way to teach that student? Yeah. And it's really, bringing therapy into our practice.
Beautiful, yeah, giving that clinical foundation within your practice. I love that. Speaking of clinical foundations in practice, Ali, I want to ask you about your work at Napa. Love this shirt, by the way. it pushes the boundaries of traditional therapy models through intensive interventions. So what has innovation looked like in practice for you, and how do you ensure it leads to meaningful change for the participant or the person and the family?
Yeah. Look, I think NAPA is very innovative by itself, but I think one of the biggest things is we're constantly adapting and evolving what we're doing. We're not just sticking to one thing because that's what worked 15 years ago. We're constantly evolving. We're bringing new modalities into practice. We're hearing of different things. We're trying them out. We're seeing if it works. We're constantly evaluating and re-evaluating throughout the therapy sessions. And if it's working, fantastic, matching that up with our clinical reasoning and going, right, this is working because of this, or it's not quite working, but I want to get this in particular. So I'm going to do this and I'm going to change what I'm doing based on what I'm trying to get and the clinical reasoning behind it. I think it's so important for us to have that adaptability throughout our practice. You know, it's so important to stay on top of the ever-changing world of pediatric therapy practices, and not being afraid to give it a go.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah.
I think that notion of remaining agile and pivoting.
Oh, you have to.
It's the human experience, right? We've got
absolutely.
to adapt to different things.
You've got to constantly be learning. If you're not learning, you're just being complacent and you're not keeping up with the times. Like, technology is ever evolving in the world of therapy, and so you need to make sure that you're on top of it.
Yeah. I mean, we've already started really going into innovation and technology. And Julie, I want to speak about assistive technology. It can be both exciting and it can be overwhelming for families, right? So what's one way that you're making assistive tech or AT more engaging and inclusive and confidence building for kids with more complex needs?
What I'm doing presently with a couple of my clients is they're starting prep or going into grade 1. They've missed their prep years due to illness and hospital stays. So one of my programs I'm working on at the moment is to take equipment into the classroom whilst the pupil's not there and introduce it to all the other children. Let them all have a play, have a go. Come and stand in this. Your friends come into school and they're going to use a standing frame. Do you want to come and have a go? You know, and sort of like talking through their expectations of the rest of the class that this child's going to come into, so they do feel included once school starts. They're not going to be looking at them going, oh, what's that for? What's this do? What's that? They've already had the introduction separately. And then when we bring them together a few weeks later, Mum will come into the classroom with myself and the little boy or little girl, and then we sort of do an introduction, we do playtime, you know, we can have like special tomato sitter on a base, and we let somebody else sit in it, you know, while they're sitting, and it's like, oh yeah, and it's that's how I want inclusivity to be. You know, it's like AT's I'm very passionate about AT, but it has to be for the holistic approach for children. It's got to be a community approach as well. It's not just me and a therapist going in and saying, right, this is going to work, this is going to work. It may not work. It's going to be like, if it's not accepted by all, then that's a challenge to start with, especially in mainstream schools.
That's a beautiful, what you're describing is such a beautiful, I think, a flow-on effect and an impact for emerging adults. You know, as kids are going to grow, they're going to have greater awareness, greater empathy,
that's exactly what
all
it's
that
about.
sort of stuff.
So if we can start as early as possible on that sort of like recognising that, you know, we're not all the same, we're all very different, we're all individuals, and we each have a set of skills, you know, that's going to harmonise within the community.
Yeah, and we need empathy to connect us and guide us and all that sort of stuff. Thank you so much. Rob, I now want to chat with you about your hands-on experience in seating and mobility. What have you learned about how families really use this equipment in their day-to-day, and what do you keep in mind to make sure that it works not just clinically but like from a social perspective? What do you keep in mind?
Basically, I've always worked around, and these guys have experienced it. I work on a rule, a standard rule that I've just come across is an 80% rule. So we work to 80%. There's no point, if you achieve 100%, you're going to pretty much be failure because it's not always achievable because there's function that's going to be affected or something else might. But so if you work into a family to get it, because if not, you give a bit of equipment, you've got to have the family on board, like the carer on board, everybody involved, because if not, then unfortunately the equipment ends up the most expensive close error you can get. Whereas we need to keep it real, keep it simple, and don't overcomplicate things, because we overcomplicate things, we hit barriers and we have failure. And then it just doesn't get used. We're all in this world, and we go, okay, I want to buy the latest technology for ourselves. And if you think in TVs, you buy the latest TV because you want that feature. And we never use that feature.
Totally.
So the same thing applies for assistive tech. I want that, but actually, are they going to use it? So bring it back, saying, yeah, you can have that, but will you use it? And then work into functionality on how things actually develop. So
and you've got it because also then as the end user, you have to invest in that product to then read the manual, to adopt all the new things. Like I just had to do that with one of those things that cleans your mouth guard at night. And I'm like, but I really want to not have stuff on my teeth, so I'm going to read it all and take it all on board. But that's the thing.
But not many. You've got to want to do it. And getting that involvement. And like, we're doing a bit of equipment recently. One that stands out, when I used to prescribe equipment back then, I went to a family of twins, and the one was able and one had a disability. The able one was actually missing out and felt that people were turning up and he was being left alone. So we got him in the equipment, and then mum actually had time to hold the other child. So we actually made it real, just to actually, yes, they didn't need it for the disability, they hadn't got this, but they wanted to be involved because the other child was getting all the attention and all the visits, and it was just that whole involvement. It's like making it for the family, because then the mum then straight away was breaking down because they were able to be happy. It's like,
I guess with that, it's almost like an unintentional
it's an unintentional
ableism,
win,
but inverted.
100%.
Right, okay. So this is something that I want to just get a perspective on from a couple of us. Collaboration, it's key to innovation. So how do you work across disciplines, whether it's clinics or schools, suppliers, families, to co-create solutions rather than operate in silos? I might start with you, Ali.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm in a multidisciplinary practice, so we have physiotherapists, occupational therapists, and speech pathologists. So we're very lucky that we're able to collaborate a lot from a therapy perspective. We can all make sure that we're working towards each other's goals, which is amazing. Perfect. But collaboration goes further than just the therapy space. We need to make sure that we're getting the buy-in from the families. Rob and I have done multiple presentations, and one of the things that we like to say, I'm going to steal it from you, is that
trademark it.
The therapists are the expert on the child. The providers, the AT providers, they're the experts on what the equipment can do. So you need to make sure that you're collaborating and being like, well, actually that's not going to work for that child because of this and this and this, and we need to support more in this because they're going to, tilt more over to the side, or, we need to make sure that we're collaborating and being like, this is what we need from a functional perspective, this is what we need from a therapeutic perspective, and how do we make that work to get to that 80%. I think that you need to make sure that the teachers are on board. If you don't have the understanding from the teachers why this piece of equipment is so important for that child, they're never going to use it. So to make sure that we've got that success for the child and we're giving them the best opportunities, everyone needs to be across it.
Yeah, beautiful. Do you have any reflections on that?
Yeah, we work really hard on everybody being, this industry is all about friendships and everything. I'm a massive advocate for it. I really think that we need to do more with everybody getting involved and making sure that everybody knows and introduces people. Like, I take Ali around and people around to say, these are different therapists that we want to meet. These are different dealers. It's not a product that I sell, but the reason for it is there's other products out there for a reason. It doesn't matter what you sell, what's available. We need to have a really big view on the world, and having the skill that everybody has a perfect skill, and the skills are only great and amazing when they all work together. Because if not, you're standing on one soapbox, and that's, it's not happening.
Bit of a lonely spot as well.
Yeah, everybody needs to learn from everybody. I've been fortunate 21 years in this industry, and I learn every day. There's something you learn every day, and that's a goal that I aspire to keep, because if you don't learn, like Ali mentioned earlier, if you don't change with the times and you don't learn, there's no point really doing what you do, because you've got to be passionate about it.
Yeah. Julie, what about you? Do you have a perspective on that?
Yeah, I was just sort of listening to what Rob was saying. And it is true, we are all lifelong learners, and if we don't keep up the pace with what's innovative out there in the halls, then we're not doing the best for our clients.
Yeah.
You know, we're not doing the best for our therapists, our teachers, you know, and at the end of the day, it's the children that miss out if we don't keep our education up there at the top.
Yeah, it doesn't focus on the right thing.
Absolutely,
that we're all trying to actually work
And we can
towards.
go out and we can rote learn it, and we can go, yeah, this is this, this and this, but applying it, that's the meaningful part. When I go up to Napa and I see some of the children at Napa, and then I take my equipment and then I'll see another equipment supplier and I'll say, they both work the same, you know, there's no pressure, each does each, you know, we've got to think of the home environment, you know, they might be, it's all right in Napa, there's big massive spaces, but when you get home and you're in a 2-bedroom apartment, where's this piece of equipment going to go? Is it going to go through the doorway? It's things like that, it's just like thinking outside the box. We want the best for the child, we want the best for the family.
I think that's the thing, and it sort of circles right back to our first piece around innovation, right? Many of our audience members, they want to raise the bar in their own practice, but they might not know where to begin. What advice would you give to those ready to innovate, but feeling a bit stuck with like traditional models or systems?
I think as a teacher, what you need is the idea.
Yeah.
Once you've got the idea, you'll run with it. And you need to have that, that inspiration comes from understanding your students. And part of that picture is collaborating with the therapists so that you do understand developmentally what's appropriate, how to address their needs and how to build them up.
Yeah.
And so I think that's, I think that's a key, is to you're inspired by understanding where they're at.
Yeah.
And then it's so exciting to be creative and to come up with ideas and play. Yeah. And you say, oh, this is their goal. This is their NDIS goal, and that makes sense in a classroom setting because this is, we have to operate across the settings.
Yeah.
It's therapy is no good if it's just in a clinic once a week.
Totally.
It has to come into every day and across the day.
It's like, that's like a very yoga kind of, it's like the real yoga begins outside the room
real
that you're
practice.
doing it in. So what about for that question for you, Ali?
Yeah, I think if you're ready to innovate, it's because your clinical reasoning is very sound. I think that you need to make sure that you are very well educated and you know exactly, you know a lot of the information that you're seeking out, but you're thinking about the what's next. I think for people who are feeling that way, like, get onto social medias. There's so much out there about, new different modalities and different practices, and don't be afraid to give it a try. Reach out to the people who are doing it. They will be more than happy to share this knowledge with you.
Probably grateful to.
Absolutely, that's what we do. Like, we want to be doing the best for the kids. Yeah. It's not about holding on to this special secret that we have. It's about sharing this knowledge. And I would rather collaborate and refer on or collaborate to other people if that's what's going to be the best thing for that child. But if you're ready and if you're like, what's the next thing? Like, just don't be afraid to do it. Just give it a go.
What about for you, Julie?
Yeah, mirrors what Ali's saying really is just to think about your end goal.
Yeah.
Think about the like Dimitra says about the plan goal, and then trying to incorporate that within the family environment. For me, it's like, there's school, there's Napa, they go and do the DMI trial, that sort of thing. But for me, it's like they're going to take this piece of equipment home. How is it going to work in the house? How is it going to? It's like, one of the examples we use for standing, children really dislike standing. It's boring.
Yeah.
It's like,
I hate it.
We all want to sit down, don't we? It's like, but we need to change and we need to put them into a standing position. So I said to my families, well, what's the quiet, calm time? And they said breakfast. Yeah. They're starving, they're hungry. So put them in standing frame. Let's have breakfast in your standing frame while you're watching the TV.
Yeah,
and it's a 20-minute session, it's done. That's your first 20-minute session of the day. If we're doing 3 20-minute sessions, use the first one as breakfast time. It's like, and that's That's one of my things for standing. I know standing is really dull for children.
That's
really
all right. And for some adults, it can really get you going.
Yeah. So that's how I like to.
That's really great. Now, I want to just quickly do a real nice rapid fire sort of round together. I'm going to get you to start us off, Rob. What's one bold idea, a tool, or a shift that you're excited about in your space that you think's going to shape the future of paediatric care or education in the next 5 years?
I think it's an interesting one. I think there's so much changing at the moment. I think that there's not one great there's multiple great things now at the moment. I think that's the problem. I think if we all fix on one thing, I think you forget about the bigger things. I think the problem, like, we've got some great things, like with the AT world, like we've got frame running now going into the Olympics. We're getting people actually getting activities outdoors. I think with NDIS, I think we just need to be aware it's probably the best funding system in the world. There's no hiding it. And I think that's, if we get into the AT world, people can get out and about and get independent. I think that's the main thing. We've got to forget about, we don't want to lose their independence. We want them to have the equipment, do the right, be out in the world and see the world as we all see the world. I think that's the biggest goal.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Dimitra?
Yes, I would say MyBurrow, but
Not biased at all. Not biased
no,
at
not
all.
biased. But I think it's the idea behind it. You are meeting the needs of your students, and the idea of MyBurrow is to bring is to address students' needs while delivering the curriculum. So they're not exclusive of one another. You are using it in your practice, and that, to my knowledge, that's why it's innovative, is that we're thinking of it in a broader way than just this activity. You know, we're going to develop our shoulder stability and our core strength and our bilateral movement. We're doing all those motor skills, but we're also using it in the context of the classroom, where we're targeting curriculum goals, and we're addressing multiple goals.
It's taking that really broader lens and really taking an approach that's very specific with a lot of consideration.
Yeah. And it's really amazing where, depending on how people use any tool, it's anything, isn't it? It's how you use it. And that's the same with MyBurrow. It's how, and that's why we have a therapy videos to talk about MyBurrow, and we give out lesson plans and all these free resources, because we want people to get the idea and then they can go with it. And
Beautiful.
Yeah, you only get out what you put in, and that's 100%.
100%.
Yeah.
Totally true. What about for you, Julie?
For me, the shift is going from just assistive technology at any age is to go into early intervention and on-time intervention. I feel that's really important. You know, following those typical developing goals. Because a child's got a disability or a medical condition, we moved away, but now we're shifting back into that, because there's research proving that, you know, it's great for the kids to sort of like be in that same sort of like, what's the word? I don't know. Sorry guys, I've lost the word.
Sort of like in that same, that space, that ecosystem together.
Yeah, so they're all sort of like developing together. We're giving them the tools.
It's almost like a movement together.
Yeah, absolutely. So
I know what you're saying too. I'm like, what is that word? What is that word?
If they're going outside and playing, we're allowing a child in a walking frame to go outside as well. Inclusivity.
You're absolutely right. And inclusivity and community connection is so paramount for adopting all of these specific things. Finally, Ali, for you?
I think the things that are coming out right now that are therapy modalities that are evidence-led, so people have gone, you know, there needs to be something more, let's develop something different. They're using their clinical reasoning, they're using evidence-based practice to mould into things. I think that there's so much happening at the moment in the world of therapy modalities with, different modalities like DMI or, spinal stim coming out. We can use electrical stimulation to get alignment and get correct activation through the muscles. We're using AI now and I think that's a huge space that's going to be growing in the next 5 years as well, which is opening up.
I've not heard of that. What's AI?
But I just started this week using a AI tool that has a non-typical speaker be able to train the AI and then get voice to text and voice to voice. So it has almost this interpretive space for kiddos. So they're able to actually, kiddos that have difficulty reading and writing, they don't need to actually write something down. They can speak it in their non-typical speech patterns and it interprets it, learns how they talk and then can translate it. It's incredible.
That is incredible.
So cool. I think there's so much coming out. It's really exciting. Just stay on the forefront of it.
Yeah, and there's so much possibility in everything that we've all shared today and you've all shared with me. Thank you so much for just opening up my mind and all of our collective minds on the power of whether it's AT or anything that's really there to truly partner with someone in the journey. I think that you've made really clear is that it's about seeing an actual vision and being just part of the mission to that vision. So thank you so much for sharing your incredible wisdom. Ali, Rob, Julie and Dimitra, thank you so much for joining us and we look forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you.